Today I'm flying alone in first class, upstairs the Qatar Airways Airbus A380. This is the first flight back for the whale of the skies in nearly 2 years. So what do you get on board this super exclusive $6,000 a ticket flight? A comfy bed, fine dining, vintage Krog, and the most incredible in-flight lounge you've ever seen on a plane. I also have the pleasure of speaking to Qatar Airways Group CEO, His Excellency Mr. Akbar Al Baker, to find out why the A380 has returned to the skies. Oh, and before we begin, I just want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. With that, let's head over to London Heathrow, check in, and go and experience the opulent world of Qatar Airways First Class.
All checked in for my flight. Now I'm really excited about today because of course we're in Terminal 5 and flying first in Terminal 5 means Concorde room access.
Bear in mind, if you depart from Qatar's hub of Doha, you'll have their flagship first class facility at your disposal, including a separate check-in channel and a luxury car transfer service. But most impressively, the Al Safwa Lounge, boasting a spa, fine dining restaurant, bedrooms, and even a jacuzzi. Today, however, as my excitement suggests, I'll be enjoying BA's first wing, along with the renowned Concorde room.
So don't mind me just sorting out my liquids, but what I can show you very briefly is this is the private security channel which you get flying through the first wing, which today is pretty quiet. But anyway, before I get into trouble for no doubt throwing my camera around, let's go through and I'll pick up with you guys when we get through security.
A few moments later.
Right then, through the tunnel, the first class tunnel, over to first of all the lounge that is basically known as the Gold Card Lounge, but of course we're going for the lounge within the lounge, the Concorde room, and I haven't had the chance to check out since the pandemic, so let's go through now.
The Concorde room is only accessible if flying first class or by holding a super elite Concorde room card, the entrance to which has been dubbed Millionaire's Door because the airline reportedly pays £1 million to the airport operators, so passengers bypass duty free. Anyway, let's grab some breakfast in the dining room.
Right, so just checking out the menu very briefly, of course, because breakfast is a very important part of the day. However, what is also an important part of the day is a pre-departure glass of champagne. Of course, BA is actually pretty good in the sense that in their first lounge, they provide LPGS.
To accompany my pre-departure champagne, I went for my favourite Avo on toast with a poachy, cooked to perfection. To further wake myself up, I also ordered a delicious cappuccino.
So now it is that time to go and get on board. It's been a wonderful time in the Concorde room, but now let's head over to the C gates.
Most long-haul flights from Terminal 5 depart from B or C gates, which means taking the short train between the piers. It can catch you out though should you indulge too much in the free-flowing champagne.
Right, so made it over to the gate and oh my goodness, this is incredible. Take a look at this, guys. The A380-800 for the first time at London Heathrow in around 2 years, which is just so surreal to see.
Excuse me, sorry, sir.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Right, all through, and now just to get down that jet bridge. I think there's 3 jet bridges on there today, of course, to load this many passengers. Can you tell I'm excited?
And just before we get on board, here's a quick word from today's video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace make it super easy for you to set up and host a website. This isn't the 1990s where you have to know complicated coding. Squarespace really have this down, handling it all from the domain name through to the design, hosting, social media linking, and even your search engine optimization. The best bit is Squarespace are offering you a free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Just head over to squarespace.com/TrekTrendy and use the coupon code TrekTrendy. Thanks again Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
What I was saying, of course, being such a huge aircraft, you've got boarding from C, B, and of course A as well. So without any more to say, let's go and get on board this huge aircraft.
I'm warmly welcomed on board and shown through to the first class cabin. The cabin features 8 first class seats in a 1-to-1 configuration. So with no overhead bins, where do I put my luggage, you ask? Well, similar to Lufthansa's first class, I have my own locker space at the front of the cabin. Back to my seat, 1 kilo, I get settled in and I'm promptly served a pre-departure glass of vintage 2004 Krug. This is punchy stuff at over $400 a bottle.
So guys, it's with great excitement I welcome you back on board the A380 for the first time in 2 years. Now this is actually my very first time flying on their first class, so I'm super excited. And of course, I've got the appropriate champagne for the occasion, my favourite Krug.
Meanwhile, you're sipping your champagne, allow me to introduce you to a Briggs amenity kit.
Perfect, thank you.
I'll just keep it here.
Appreciate it.
And our menu card.
We'll take a look at these later on in the flight.
Now this is something I'm very happy to see back. So much better.
In what seems like no time at all, the safety video is screened and I'm directed to fasten my seatbelt as the Whale of the Skies begins to push back from stand. It's hard to get a true scale for the size of this huge aircraft. As we taxi over to the runway, we pass some quite obscure airlines, most notably Junior Air. Can't say I'm familiar with this one. To my delight, I discover that there's tail cameras, albeit not in HD like the newer A350s. And with that, we're cleared for takeoff and hurtle down the runway for what seems like forever, finally lifting off into the stereotypically cloudy British morning. I feel now is a relevant time for me to share a snippet of my interview with Qatar Airways Group CEO, Mr. Akbar Al Baker, around why the A380 is flying again and his thoughts on the aircraft.
Because we have grounded aeroplanes, we are short of capacity. So we have now started to operate the 380. We have already prepared the first one, and subsequently we will prepare 5 of them out of the 10 that will start operating from next month. But as an aircraft, it is not very economic for an airline, and at the same time, in relation to emissions, it's very high, but they are now forced to do it because of the situation we have with the Airbus A380.
This to me suggests that whilst the A380 is back, it most likely will not be for the long term.
So guys, we've just reached altitude, and I think something that I've noticed that I've forgotten about on the A380 is just how quiet it is. Usually speaking, as you know from my videos, I do voiceovers, but I'm blown away by the fact that I'm actually able to speak normally, and you can hear me quite clearly, I'm assuming.
First up, let's take a look at one of the most unique and special features of the Qatar A380. Wow, what did you think? It's certainly my favourite onboard bar. The sheer size and classiness alone makes the closest competing bar onboard Emirates look distinctly lacklustre. Back at my seat, I make it brunch time. The menu is solid, and I'm most attracted by the build your own breakfast, given some of the foundations are steak and caviar. I'd also note that Qatar have returned to pre-pandemic service as of today, complete with their famous candle and crisp table linens. There's actually a backstory to the omelette today. I actually know these to be some of the best in the sky because, well, I've seen them being made. Last month I was in Qatar and got the chance to look inside the Qatar Airways catering facility. Check out the production line for these omelettes. I can be confident in saying no powdered eggs today. Overall, I really enjoyed this course. Only niggles would be the steak was more on the well done side of things, and I wish there was more caviar. Next up, I went for the mixed fruit smoothie. This was delicious but pretty heavy going, almost feeling like a meal in itself. Right, let's dig into the pastry basket. And again, I know these to be particularly fresh as I saw these being made too. I can honestly say these are the very best croissants I've ever had on board an aircraft. Top work, Qatar. Just when I thought I was done, the member of cabin crew serving me surprised me with the warm cherry clafouti. Think I pronounced that right. Yes, I didn't need it, but my word, it was divine. Now that I've gone up another jean size, let's close with a coffee. Qatar have an espresso machine on the A380, so I was able to enjoy a proper fresh coffee. No airline sludge here. Given I have the entirety of first class to myself today, let's check out the rest of the cabin. Laid out in a 1-2-1, my preference would be one of the window seats. As a couple, the middle seats would be most sociable. And there's even a divider which you can put up or down for privacy, depending on how much you get on with your neighbour. Okay, let's kick those Tims off and get my provided slippers and white company pyjamas on. This also means it's loo review time, and my word, I have a treat today. Welcome to a top tier loo, both of which are located at the front of the first class cabin. As you can see, they're not only huge, but absolutely stunning. I could literally do laps in here if I wanted. I love the lights and how minimalistic the design is. Unfortunately, there are no showers like Emirates or Etihad's A380s, but there is a hidden toilet. Time to get those PJs on. These are the same high quality and comfortable pyjamas you'll find in Qatar's outstanding business class. I find they come up pretty large, so I fit comfortably into a medium. I'm usually a large. In terms of the other facilities, and aside from the fresh flowers, the bathroom fittings are more akin to what you'd find in a hotel. There are diptyque amenities which I'm a huge fan of, as well as leather adorned coat hangers for your clothing. All in all, this is up there as one of the best in-flight bathroom facilities. It's just a shame there's no shower. Whilst I was getting changed, the lovely FA made the seat behind me up into a bed. As you can see, it looks very inviting. It's time to get that super soft velvety throw rolled out, nab an additional pillow from the seat next to me, and after inspecting my work, leap into bed. It's as comfortable as it looks, with ample space to stretch out. The mattress pad does a stellar job of cushioning the seat, and it's not long before I'm enticed into a deep afternoon nap. Only downside for this seat is the lack of full privacy, given most first class seats have a full door. Anyway, night y'all. I awake after a good 2.5 hours of sleep. I could have slept much longer, given that I had barely any sleep the night before. But on with the review. Back at 1 kilo, I'm offered a cold towel. A hot one is also available. And I dig into a delicious bag of salted caramel popcorn. It occurs to me we've not actually got that much longer left on board, so let's head over to the bathroom and get changed. The other bathroom is near identical to the one I showed you previously. Right, freshly nassered up, let's head back to my seat and get those Tims back on. And just like that, the seatbelt sign comes on and we begin our final descent into Hamad International Airport. I'm treated to stunning views of Doha, being that I'm on the right hand side of the aircraft this evening, a top tip when you're flying into Qatar. And finally we touch down, drawing to a close the first inbound international flight of the Qatar A380 in nearly 2 years. As we taxi in, it dawns on me that the days of this aircraft are numbered, and whilst it may not make economical sense, there's still something very special to me about this plane.
Right guys, so welcome to Doha, Qatar.
I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks to Qatar Airways for inviting me on board this very special flight. I'll be sharing with you my return flight to the UK, in business class this time on the A380, in the coming weeks, so make sure you're subscribed. And lastly, thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/trektrendy to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.